All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Here's Johnny.
Vanity. Definitely my favorite sin.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
The power of Christ compels you.
This is my boomstick.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Good evening, and welcome to Shiver, a horror movie podcast. We are your hosts.
I'm Daniel DeBona.
And I'm David Ulloa, and I am here, enthusiastic as ever, to discuss a universal monster movie. Or am I?
The eternal question, right?
The eternal question. So in a section that we're calling Recreating a Classic, Daniel, you and I are kind of on a modern horror kick. We did The Rule of Jenny Penn last week. This week we're on the 2025, so the newest version of The Wolfman. I was immediately excited about this thing.
Right, me too.
Leigh Whannell, Julia Garner. I can't remember
the
the
screamy
name
girl from Ozark.
Yeah, the screamy girl from Ozark. She is outstanding. She's amazing. I could watch her read a phone book. She is, I think, one of the most talented young actresses around today. And I was immediately sold when I saw her, right? And then on top of that, another really great young actor who I think has deserves more attention, Christopher Abbott, who was in It Comes at Night, who was in Poor Things. This guy's in movies that I really enjoy.
Right.
I was immediately excited about this thing. And the trailer I thought was outstanding. We'll get to what I thought in a moment. What did you think?
So I'm right there with you, right? I'm excited. We're not that far removed from the month of the werewolf, and I've seen Lon Chaney Jr.'s Wolfman and everything now, so it's like I was ready. I'm like, all right, we tried to run this back with Benicio del Toro a little bit ago. It had its moments. Let's see what they can do in this broad spectrum that is modern horror and what people are expecting and beyond what people are expecting, just what they're willing to accept right now. So I'm super excited to fire this thing up. This movie is butt. That's it's we've talked about movies on here before that just vaguely deserve to have the word movie attached to them, other than the fact that it is something that was filmed and then displayed for people. This movie, I was so I'm disenchanted with this movie, if that's the right word, that today I sat down and rewatched the last hour of this movie because I was like, maybe I was falling asleep and just didn't realize it, right? I'm thinking like maybe it was kind of late and I'm dozing off because like when it was over, I was like, why do I feel like I just have pieces and not a full picture? So I got home from work today, made myself some dinner. I was like, all right, I got time. I was like, let's get to the spot where he's becoming the Wolfman and let's rewatch this last hour. Let's figure out what the hell I missed. Let's figure out why there are so many gaps. And I rewatched it and I didn't fucking miss anything. This movie it's just there, right? It just exists. I was so baffled by how little of anything this movie had. Outside of one excellent performance, there was nothing to this. There's no exposition, there's no mythology, there's no lore. There's just there's just shit happening on the screen that, honest to God, doesn't make a lot of sense as you connect it, and no reason that I should care about it, nor is it exciting enough for me to not be bothered by the fact that what I'm being presented with is nonsensical, and there is no story. Man, it just there are just no boxes that this movie checked. I was frighteningly disappointed in this movie.
That is exactly how I feel. And when I felt that way last week about the rule of Jenny Penn, I was at least not let down by Jeffrey Rush, and I wasn't let down by John Lithgow. And I'm not saying I was let down by Julia Garner, because I do
Right.
think that her performance was really good, as expected. I expected a hell of a lot more of Leigh Whannell
Yes.
because he wrote this thing.
Yeah.
This thing, and I will say, cinematography is very nice. This is a very good-looking movie, and if you're expecting cinematography on the level and direction on the level of The Invisible Man, which we talked about, in a glowing way just a couple of months ago,
Yes.
you're gonna get a lot of that, but nothing else. There is
Yeah.
no substance in this movie, and I think that you hit the nail on the head, is that there is no reason to care about
About
any.
any of it.
And as we're talking about this, I think we should just go, right into the story, right? Which in a section we're calling "Same but Different." Um, I think that from the word jump, this thing was just, it was broken. It starts with this text opening, and it goes into the native mythology of the face,
Yeah.
and then never from that point on is Native American mythology discussed.
Not a single indigenous person to be found in the movie.
Nothing. Nothing. It was a cheap throwaway line in an effort to bring culture into this movie.
Yeah,
And
it felt like when the movie was over, they were like, "Oh man, we never actually fucking spent any time explaining why this is happening." So, here's some text.
right. Yeah. So to me, that is possibly the most egregious fault that this movie makes, is like, if you're going to bring Native American mythology into this, fuck, I love Native American mythology.
Yes.
And it's so varied, right? And in the section of the of North America where this is taking place, like, fuck, you're just like a step removed from the Wendigo. Like, there's
Yes.
there's there's so much stuff that's going on here, so rich with culture. You could have tapped into any Native American mythology and gotten something out of it. But I think that the theme that seemed to be the one that ran through the whole story was so wildly, like, I can't even say that it was underexplored, because it wasn't explored at all,
Correct.
is the fear of fucking up your children with the way your parents fucked you up. And this is again, I don't understand. Was his father not a good father? Because I saw both good and bad things happening in that opening scene,
Right.
and probably more good than bad, if I'm being honest.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right? It was his dad a little bit more gruff than I would have liked, sure, but I mean, it's clearly taking place in like the 90s, right? You could be like that back then. You could be like that today, right?
Yeah.
And truthfully, you got to keep your wits about you, or
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
wilderness, you are going to fucking die.
Exactly. It's okay to be like that in life or death situations. And your son was about to eat a mushroom that would have killed
Yeah,
him. Like, yeah, no, raise your
absolutely.
fucking voice to him. It's okay.
Yeah, and then he fucking goes off as they're wielding sniper rifles. All it takes is you to pop your head up. You're like, ah, there it is, bang, and now your son's dead because he ran off, right? So all this shit, like, I don't see anything where I was like, bro, he was a bad dad. Nothing, right? And then years later, he's got his own daughter, but he's talking about how his father fucked him up. Okay, so I'm assuming we're gonna see how this relationship developed and kind of descended. No,
Nothing.
nothing. Neither do we see him be a bad father.
Right.
Doesn't happen. All he ever shows is the utmost care for his daughter. Obviously, he and his wife are having marital problems. It happens to everyone, right? And they're willing to work it out. So where's the fucking tension in this movie?
Exactly. Like that's what I kept doing. I was like, I kept having that moment where I'm watching this movie going, I feel like this is supposed to be really tense. Like, I feel like it's supposed to be tense, and yet there's no tension here. Like, I don't know. This movie did a horrible job setting a mood or a scene or a vibe that made me nervous. I couldn't understand how something that innately should be scary, right? Fighting for the survival of your child and your family. It never hit. This movie just consistently was as flat as the score to this movie
Oh
was.
yeah.
Oh my God. Like, just there were
I forgot there was a score until you mentioned it just now.
Yeah. Like that was one of the things I noticed on my rewatch in the last hour. I'm like, is this purposefully hitting like shit? Like, it was I'm so confused as to how Leigh Whannell went from Invisible Man to this. Like, with Invisible Man, it was like, oh man, this guy has got such an amazing grasp on what is terrifying and how to take something and bring it into the modern age and make it as scary now as it was then. And I don't know how he missed so wildly, because you're right. Like, he finds out, he gets the paper. Your dad is dead, officially declared deceased, right? Here's his stuff. You own this house in Oregon now. And he's like, yeah, we need some time to reset. Okay, cool. Yeah, great. Set the scene. But like you said, he talks about, like, oh, well, my dad wasn't much, whatever. And it's like, what did your dad ever do wrong? Like, is it just the fact that we do see the notebook at one point where he's got notes about the Wolfman or whatever that he's been tracking. And I guess maybe we were supposed to draw the conclusion that his dad dragged him out to live in this middle of nowhere Oregon house just because of an obsession. But again, explore that. Like, if your dad was shitty because he took you away from everything because of this obsession, explore that a little bit.
A little. Yeah.
Find the notebook. Give me a second to kind of see some illustrations and zoom in on a couple of key notes that he made that make me realize that this obsession ruined not only his life, but his son's life. Don't just show me him raising his voice because his son's being an idiot and then be like, man, this guy sucks as a dad.
Yeah.
I was very confused by that. One, no, you don't owe your daughter an apology if you've told her to do something 3 times, because they're not to do something dangerous 3 times and she doesn't listen and you raise your voice. Maybe it makes me a boomer parent, but no, I don't know my kid's shit at that point.
No.
Right? Like,
and he never lost his cool.
No, not even. Like, my normal first warning voice is harsher than his I've had it up to here voice.
Right.
And so that aspect of it lost on me. Right? This idea.
What that was? that was either performed or written or directed by someone who's not a parent.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that aspect of it lost, right? So yes, we do kind of get the feeling that they're having some marital troubles, but it just goes from, hey, it's been a long time since you've sat out here and we've had lunch together, to, oh God, I don't want to lose you. You're my best friend. Literally nothing in between. Like
Nothing.
no interactions between them that don't directly involve the daughter, but not even cold interactions. There's just nothing. Like, these could just be two people who are hanging out with a girl they found on the street. Like, there's absolutely nothing there between them. So these so these moments, like I said, that you watch and logically are supposed to be tense, because this is a husband turning on his wife. They don't hit. So that one gone. So, and then
You know what to me was like, this was written by someone who has never been married. Because I don't care whether it's the husband who's driving, I don't care whether it's the wife who's driving. It could be a same-sex couple separated by generations. Doesn't fucking matter what the makeup of these two people are. You don't even have to be romantically involved. If this person who is driving the car or truck that I am in turns over the truck and careens off the side of a fucking mountain,
right.
and I have to fight for my life to just get back on solid ground, you're getting an earful from me.
Yeah.
You're getting an earful from me. Now imagine that we are romantically involved. You're getting much more than an earful from me. What the fuck is wrong with you? Why were you on Instagram? What is your major malfunction? Whatever. You're going to hear it from me. Not in a week, not in a year. That moment.
Yeah.
You're stupid like your father. Bring up whatever Dane Cook joke you want, right? It's all fucking coming out right there. If these are two people having a really rough patch, this is not how these people react.
Yeah.
What world are we living in where everyone is just kind to each other, and then they're like, yeah, we're not feeling it right now.
Yeah. It's so, like I said, just everything just missed, except for, like you said, I mean, it looked pretty. Looked really pretty, right? Like, I loved those scenes where we got the transition into like how his senses caused a distortion in reality. You know, he thought he was speaking English, they couldn't understand him, he couldn't understand them. The changes in what he could see, because he could see, and he had dim vision, or dark light, not dark vision, but low light vision.
Right.
Like those things. Yeah, that stuff was cool, very pretty, some really good shots. But I mean, just everything about the story here, it just, I don't know. It wasn't effective. I was very confused. I mean, no, I take it back. I wasn't confused. I wasn't confused by the movie. I was confused by what they were trying to do. There's not enough story there to be confusing. Like, this is, it's like they try to make it dramatic survival horror.
Yeah, and that was something that to me just didn't make sense. And I realized that when you're remaking something that's been remade so many times, you got to try to do something different. And placing this in the American Northwest, you immediately have that environment that you can kind of draw that survivalist. That's great. However, if you zoom by the exposition part of your story so that we get to this one night that we have to survive, I don't care about any of the stuff that's happening in that one night. And when that one night does not do a good job of selling why I care about anyone's survival,
right?
It's just I don't understand. I understand everything that happened. I don't understand why I should care.
Exactly. That was and I was convinced all day long. I was convinced that I must have been dozing because I was like, as the day went on and I'm thinking about this movie, I was like, I can't remember like any dialogue after they got to the house.
Mhm.
Right. So I was like, I must have been dozing off because I can't like I'm seriously sitting there like the last time I remember anybody talking was when she was on the CB radio trying to get somebody to come help them. I was like, that's the last not even conversation, just time I remember people talking. So then I go watch it again today and it's like, oh, it's because nothing worthwhile got said after that point.
Yeah.
And it blew me away that you could have this movie that has such that has so much behind it. I mean, if you're talking werewolves, if you're talking Native American lore, whatever it is that you're trying to build there, this reminds me of when you were out one time and Nick Hardy and I did that movie Antlers. That was our first foray into Wendigo. We're 0 for 2 on Wendigo movies on this podcast now for anybody keeping score. And I had the same thought. It's like there's this really rich and amazing history there to be told about this, and it's an untapped thing, and just bag completely fumbled, right? So if, like you said, if you're gonna introduce this as that type of lore, then build that. And so I don't know, man. Like I want to say something that's not just dunking on this movie, at least when it comes to story, but there's just nothing to say. There's no story here. It's running and it's screaming and it's the occasional attempt at a jump scare. The closest they got for me was when the hand shot through the dog door and kind of got him, because that there was a little bit of tension there because we're still trying to figure out exactly what's going on with him. But other than that, I don't know. It was just miss after miss
There
after miss. And it
I
eventually anything they were trying to do was falling on deaf ears because, like you have said,
Yeah.
I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah. There was a moment early on where I think I was still engaged, and it was as they were trying to escape from the turned over um moving van.
Right.
It had kind of little bit of Jurassic Park in there. Um there was certainly tension, but then of course people are behaving in totally irrational ways. Why the fuck did that guy open the door?
Yeah, just unbuckles and opens like, okay, even if you're disoriented, right? Your body's telling you which way is down. It's the way you're falling, man.
Yeah.
Like, if your entire body weight's against this door, popping that handle probably not the best idea. I get that you've lived in the mountains of Oregon your entire life, and maybe your dad was crappy too. I don't know. He was friends with this guy's supposedly crappy dad. But in all the survival lessons your dad ever gave you, one of them wasn't don't just fall out of a vehicle that's 12, 14 feet in the air in a tree. I'm I don't know.
So there was that moment, and I will say that even though I expected it, the moment where the windshield wiper wipes away the crud on the windshield of the car that she just jump started, and then we finally get to see the wolf man. That was a good moment, but that was all it was. It was a good moment.
Yeah.
And the scene itself didn't really work for me. I kind of knew everything that was going to happen as it was going on, and not in a good way. Like sometimes I I I love in a slasher, just to kind of put that out there. I love in a slasher when the when the woman walks out in like from the cabin,
Right.
and you hear in the distance like a crow is cawing, like, oh, she's gonna fucking die, she's gonna get slashed in the face, right? I love that. I love when that comes to fruition. Fantastic. Awesome. This felt cheap.
Yeah.
Everything felt cheap here because I knew oh, okay. No. There was one moment where I was like, "Oh shit, did not see that coming." When she undoes his bandage and he starts eating his arm.
Yes, there we go. Yes.
That was a genuinely good moment. I went, "Oh fuck." That was good.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that was but the other side of that coin is there is no drama in watching somebody climb on top of a building that seems to just be a tarp thrown over a skeleton. You're not surprised when the staples start popping loose.
And then nothing happens with the staples.
And then, and then it's like, so that he can slice through this, but then the girl can climb right over the slice and everything's fine. Like, yeah, so I guess they okey doked me by making it more boring than if they just done what I thought was going to happen. You know? There was a in wrestling. Let me pull this to something exciting. So in wrestling, very famous wrestler Mick Foley, Mankind, dude, love all of this. So he got
Cactus Jack as well.
Yes, so that's where this story is going, is with Cactus Jack. So he got signed to ECW as Cactus Jack. And because he was so extreme in Japan, so then he did this ultimate thing where when he came, he was like, I'm going to be Cactus Jack, but I'm going to do everything super safe. And I'm just going to piss off the audience by not doing what they expect me to do. That's the feeling I kept getting from this. It was like, is he like purposefully pissing us off because Invisible Man was so good that now he wants to show us that he can just not do anything and people are going to buy tickets? I don't know.
It didn't make very much money.
It did not.
It had a like a 70% drop from week 1 to week 2.
And
movies are not performing the way they used to, but at
a $25 million budget, it made $35 million in the box office,
which means it lost money,
right? Because budget doesn't include promotional,
right? So that to me, that is just wild that happened. And before we move on to actors, because we've basically tapped story because there is none.
Correct.
I need to talk about this scene. The one that is behind us. It is a gorgeously composed shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. We see that the mother and daughter who claim to have had a contentious relationship where we never once see them be anything but perfectly pleasant with one another. They arrive at this point and they stop and look out at a river. And that's where this ends. I don't know why this shot is in the movie.
There was a part where when he was convincing her to go to Oregon, he talked about how there was this one beautiful spot that he could walk to from his dad's cabin. So I suppose it was like this full circle moment where they got to experience what made him fall in love with this area as a child. Because he does describe this valley. So if I've got to defend the movie one time, that was like it was a capping moment to how he sold his wife on going to Oregon. Is there's this one beautiful valley that you can walk to from my dad's cabin, and so they got to see it. And but then again, just with the way that this whole thing went, like it wasn't even. The relief, the catharsis of this, I think, was supposed to be when they put him out of his misery, and we find out that his daughter can, still read his mind or whatever. So I don't know that you needed that as like this, there's still beauty in the world moment or whatever it was supposed to be. But storyline wise, the shot does make sense. And
so I totally went over my head. Forgot that he had mentioned that in that scene. It was on the steps, right?
It was on the steps, yeah.
Building. Yeah, totally missed that. It does make more sense now. I hate that the movie ends with that shot
I
and
do too.
not with her shooting him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like he just could have been over right there. Because like I said, that was the catharsis moment. That was when everything had come back around and she'd realized that this wasn't her husband anymore. And she didn't want to do anything without him, but this wasn't him. And the daughter had even accepted he wanted it to be over. Like
Yeah.
that's your go home shot right there.
Yeah.
So this, I feel like it was completely, it didn't make a lot of sense. And look, New Zealand's gorgeous and Oregon's pretty, but they're a very different type of pretty. And sometimes you find a location and you make it work. This particular shot, I've never been to Oregon, but it didn't feel like Oregon. That was one of my biggest things with it. Like, it was like when that shot was over, I was like, they sure as shit did not film this in the Pacific Northwest. So I went and looked it up. Yeah, it was in New Zealand. And so I was like, that's why that does not feel like the Pacific Northwest, because it is the Pacific South. It is the South Pacific. Very different area. It felt it's like, yeah, that shot fits in great in Lord of the Rings. That's it works wonderfully there. So, all right, we've dunked on it for 30 minutes. Now let's get into a spot where we can talk about something that is a shining moment in this, in a section that we're calling star-studded. Man, we've used the phrase, economy of characters before. This is about as tight as it gets right here. 2 adults and 1 kid that matters. So take us through some performances for you that stand out.
For me, the only one that is standout is Julia Garner.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Charlotte Lovell. She's great. She's really good in this. I wish that she had good material to use, because the moments in which she is given the opportunity to act, she's great. The scene where she's talking into the CB radio,
right,
or the ham radio, awesome, great performance there. The scene where she is kind of like trying to talk to him and he doesn't quite understand her, the first time that we see that, there's some good stuff there. I just don't feel like there's enough to really let her shine in this movie. And if there's anything that I am really disappointed with, I think it's that. Because I've seen all of Ozark and she can act.
Right.
She can really act. So I just I wish that there was more reason for her to be in this movie.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, she is the one who absolutely did the most with what she was given. And there she was she was the one person that I did care about. Like, there was an element of wanting to see her survive and wanting to see her become stronger for this and understand, kind of what life's all about and whatever other messages they were trying to get through to us. She did an excellent job. And it was funny because I had just finished this again today, and I'm on Instagram and I caught a trailer for a new movie called Weapons that she is starring in. That seems to be a horror thriller. And so
amazing.
And so, yeah, so the first thing that pops up is like writer and director of Barbarian. I was like, strike one.
Yeah.
Right. And then and then it was like, but then it shows her, and I was like, okay, now wait a minute. I've seen some horror chops here. So you're bringing me back in. Trailer was excellently made, so keep it out for Weapons.
But so was Barbarian.
Yeah. So we'll see when we see. But but so I was like, I will give this movie credit for the fact that now I'm interested in seeing what she can do with more. Right, because this other movie does seem to be a lot deeper, but who knows? We'll see. Zach Krager has his issues. But so she did it. She did a very good job, and she did make me care. The other side of that coin is going to be Christopher Abbott as Blake, who was so ridiculously boring and milquetoast as a dude before he became a wolf. And as a wolf, I don't know, like maybe made some weird choices. Like was he completely animalistic? Was he fighting it? Like they didn't give us enough of if the story here was supposed to be that he was at turmoil with himself because there was still a piece of him in the back of his brain that wasn't completely overtaken by Wolf, then we needed more of that. We needed more than just like the 2 times when he was kind of at odds with himself about whether or not he was going to attack his wife and daughter.
Yeah.
And you know, I can't even, it's not even that, well, with the human parts of Christopher Abbott's performance, maybe he could have done more with them. Maybe they were just written that flatly, but I just didn't care about him as a dude before he became a wolf. He definitely seemed, we were supposed to read into some sort of childhood trauma, I guess, but we didn't get enough exposition about that or enough flashbacks or anything to make that seem worthwhile. Like to the point that I wonder if when they made this thing, this movie's what? It's like an hour 40, right? So, I mean, is there 20 minutes of exposition that they decided just weren't worthwhile? And and Blumhouse left on the floor somewhere and was like, let's just get to the action, because it feels like there was supposed to be more to this character of Blake than what we got. And that was another thing that was very confusing to me.
I mean, I almost hope so.
Right.
Because if this is all there is, I don't want it. Keep it.
Yeah, just hang on to it.
Keep it. I'm a little torn because there's never really and I think it goes back to exposition problems. Like there's never a reason given for why they're having their issues. I guess what I can read into this thing is that she's really into her work.
Right.
He's really into being a dad. And he's the kind of person that doesn't really respect that she has her own job and her own thing, because he asks her if he can take the phone call to another room.
Right. Yeah.
He doesn't shout. He doesn't get angry. He just asks her politely
to
take it to the other room. If he was supposed to be kind of a dick and like, yo, I don't give a fuck that you're on the phone, get out of this fucking room, then you got to do a better job of showing that. Because if that's on the page and that's what you guys have discussed with the director, you got to show that as the actor. You got to dig somewhere and bring that out. Because he also kind of tells her, like, well, just take the time off.
Yeah.
To come with me. Was that supposed to be him not respecting her job and her as a working woman? Or does he, like, is this the kind of thing that they can do often? Like, they're both writers. You can write from anywhere, you know? Like, I never quite understood, because he was so blah the whole time. I don't know. I really did not enjoy this performance, which is a shame, because I did enjoy his performance in Poor Things.
Yeah.
Where he did play a dick.
Yeah.
And he was really good at it too. So I'm just baffled. I'm baffled by it.
Yeah, like I said, I don't get him.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about anyone else?
No, I mean the little girl did little girl things, right? She screamed, she was confused. I mean, there's no point in dunking on this little girl. I think that she gave it 110% with whatever direction and script she was given. You know?
Yeah, and that ultimately I think is the biggest issue here, is that no matter how good an actor you are, you're only as good as the words on the page. And as good as your direction. And maybe this does go back to Leigh Whannell. Maybe he just phoned this one in. I don't know. But he has a vested interest in making the best Universal monster movie he can.
Yeah.
He kind of I mean, he's directly responsible for this resurgence with The Invisible Man. So I'm so confused by its existence. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And to further confusion, let's talk about the Wolf Man, right?
Yeah. Look, I'll start us off on this one. Dear Leigh Whannell, Arjun Tootin, and Pamela Goldimer, man, fuck y'all. Like this. This Wolfman design was dog shit.
Yeah.
There is almost 100 fucking years of better werewolf and Wolfman designs than whatever the fuck this was supposed to be. I hated this on a primordial level. I hated this. I started trying to look into like what might have brought this about. Like, were they that desperate to redesign what a wolfman or a werewolf would look like? So you go and look, and here's what gets me. So when you go to the wiki about this movie, it says that Whannell compiled a list of werewolves designs, such as those portrayed by Lon Chaney Jr. in the original Wolfman. Rad. David Naughton in American Werewolf in London. Rad. The Howling. Rad. Dog Soldiers. Fuck yeah. And then he settled on this one. What? So you just listed off movies that we've done on this podcast because they kick so much ass and have such great fucking werewolves in them. And then you went with this one and claimed he took inspiration from Heath Ledger's Joker on how to redesign and bring a classic character into the modern world. Fuck that noise. It was shit.
Yeah.
It looked like so much work in prosthetics to accomplish nothing. To accomplish something that wasn't scary, it just looked stupid. This looked like, and honestly, I might have rather seen Rocky from Mask. It was terrible. I was so disappointed in this Wolfman design. And like I said, we can't even throw the word werewolf out there because this is some sort of bizarre, like permanent. I mean, this isn't even a lycanthrope, right? This is just a mutation that you get infected with. But it was crap, man. Honestly, I think that even if this movie would have been better, I was so disappointed in the way that this Wolfman looked, I would still be pissed off.
The look is bad. Maybe the worst in any werewolf movie that we've done. And
we did Silver Bullet.
I was going to say the bear wolf in Silver Bullet is leaps and bounds better than this thing. I would have preferred if it was the moss creature that Stephen King transforms into in Creepshow.
Yes.
I don't understand what this was, right?
If
I think, because this is hypothetical, I think I can overlook the physical attributes if you give us some good werewolf mythology.
Right.
We get none.
Yeah.
None. We talked about that whole face of the wolf thing from the beginning. We get glimpses of other wolf men. Fucking sucks.
Yeah, it felt lazy and uninspired. Like it's that thing that happens with art sometimes where you try so hard to be modern and original that it just comes off as not trying at all. Like I don't doubt for a second that there was a lot of time put into this, but it was one of those things where this design shoved its head so far up its own ass that nothing came of it. This was the special effects equivalent of what David Blaine calls magic. Right? Like when you just come so far to prove that you can do something new that you end up doing nothing. And then you just go, ta-da! Like I'm infuriated by this design. It was just so
bad.
boring.
It's bad.
Oh.
And the thing with werewolves, I think just like vampires, is that they're only as strong as their mythology. And while I think my favorite werewolf design is probably Werewolf of London, I think the mythology of the original Wolfman is so strong.
Oh, it's so good.
That I don't care that it's not a full werewolf, that it's like, no, this is a wolf man.
Right.
How is it that Jack Pierce in 1941 was able to make a better, scarier werewolf than whoever did the special effects for this movie did in the year 2025?
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about 80 years.
80 years.
85 years.
Yeah.
In between these movies. This is an outrage in my opinion. And 100%. I think that it is a slap in the face of everything that is Universal Monsters, because it's not an update in the way that the Invisible Man was. The Invisible Man took a concept and turned it completely on its head and stayed true to the original in the mad scientist vein and said, we're going to do something totally different. We're going to modernize it. Dude, using optics to create an invisible suit. Love it. Absolutely love it. This was not so far removed from the Invisible Man. What it did remove was the mythology and the fear factor.
Yeah.
Because I have seen regular people on the street who are more disfigured than this Wolfman is.
Mm-hmm.
Still not frightened by them, right? Because people come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, and our bodies go through trauma, and it doesn't make us scary. And I don't understand. I'm at a loss. I don't have the words.
And like you said, it just feels like such a slap in the face, because even if we were to get deep into some of those Universal horror films where they eventually, go completely off the rails, and they just become, sequels on sequels. And, if we get it, we start to get into Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein, like we start to get into some of those, which by the way are fine movies. But
I love Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
But one thing you can always fall back on. I mean, there's a reason that, like, when people talk about monster movies and they talk about the classic looks, the vampire that you see is the Universal Dracula. That you see, that you don't see Robert De Niro as Frankenstein's monster. You see Boris Karloff, because these were iconic designs that were created. I mean, what Creature from the Black Lagoon, early 50s, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, how much time did we spend on that episode talking about how amazing Gilman looked? These are things that have stood the test of time. This design was DOA. Like it didn't stand the test of time that it took for it to get from the theater to the theater screen to somebody's eyeballs, let alone from the theater to the screening in my house on streaming.
Right.
It felt disrespectful. And which was so bizarre because we keep going back and referencing it because I mean, he did such an amazing job with Invisible Man. This is a man who obviously has respect for these things. This design, man, it was every single thing about it was wrong. Just every single thing. Also, why is he losing his teeth? You're a fucking wolf now. Like, shouldn't your teeth be stronger?
Right. Also, I have never ever seen a dog, a wolf, anything. The only creature I have ever heard of, now maybe I just haven't heard of enough creatures, but the only creature that I've ever heard of that will maim itself to escape a trap or something like that is a crab.
Okay, I mean, I think rats will. I think I've heard of like rats will like chew their foot off to get out of a trap or like alpha glue trap.
Okay,
but yeah, but I mean,
a
still
wolf.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe. I'd like.
So, the other thing I was gonna say is, to me, just it kind of is so disrespectful to what has come before. Is every good werewolf movie that focuses on the werewolf and not the people dealing with the werewolf, because there's kind of two sides to that, right?
Right.
What makes it interesting and what keeps us watching is the infected coming to terms with the fact that he's becoming a werewolf.
Right.
And this happens because the movie takes place over time, whether it's days or weeks or months. We're given an opportunity for them to face what they've done, what they've become, and how they're going to deal with this thing. It's the most interesting part of both The Wolfman and An American Werewolf in London. It's gone in this movie because of the decision to turn this into a we have to survive the night movie.
Right.
When you take that element away and you take away the mythology element, and now you've taken away the frightening design, what do you have? I don't know what it is because I don't know what this was, but it's not. I can tell you it is not a werewolf.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. This movie just, there wasn't much to it. So let's get to it. I mean, let's rate this thing, right? We're here at the end. If you are new to the podcast, if this is fresh to you, if you just need a quick reminder, we never rate a movie against other movies. We only rate it against itself. So yes, we spent a lot of time comparing this to other werewolf movies and Leigh Whannell's Invisible Man. We're not going to compare it to those. All we're looking for right now is what does this movie bring us? So in order to do that, we create a unique rating system for each movie. So Dave, out of a possible 5 bizarrely dislocated wolf jaws, what do you give 2025's Wolfman?
I think I'm going to go 1.5. I'm going to go 1.5 because Julia Garner's performance deserves at least 1 wolf jaw.
Okay.
And because there are, what did we say, 2 moments in the movie where there was like, oh, wow, look at that. And that's it.
Yeah. I'm going to go 1.5 as well, because you're right. There's Ozark Girl gets 1. And then I'm going to go the other half because it is very pretty. I like the way that they worked with light. I really did like those glimpses into his perspective as a wolf, but ultimately those things didn't add anything to the movie itself
No.
into making me care. Her performance did. It's worth a whole dislocated wolf jaw, but the prettiness is only worth half of one. So I'm gonna go 1.5 as well.
There you go. And I think that talking about this movie for 55 minutes is it is far too long.
Correct.
I'm upset at myself that we went this long on this movie. I am sorry to the viewers and the listeners. If I'm sorry.
Yeah. Look, hey, take it like this. If you're listening to this because you've been on the fence, make this one of those "we watched it so you don't have to" moments. You've gotten it all. I mean, if you just want 103 minutes of torturing yourself, then go ahead and sit through it. But if not, you've listened to us, you've gotten the gist. So there you go. If you've enjoyed this and you want to hear more, make sure you head to shiverpod.com, where you can find links to all of our social media outlets. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all at ShiverPod. That's also how you can find us on all of your podcast apps, whatever you're listening to. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Music, we're on all of it. If it doesn't come up as just Shiver, type in Shiver Pod. We'll pop right up. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear what you think we should do next, because we're hitting a drought here, right? We need something. So reach out to us. Instagram's one of the best ways to get a hold of us. You can DM us out there. If there's something that you're just itching for us to talk about and we haven't had a chance to yet, let us know, because we know there's good stuff out there. We're just swinging and missing right now with some of this new stuff.
Yep. I don't think that's our fault. I'm not going to blame us. So there you have it.
We couldn't just constantly suck the dick of movies that we like. You know, we got to experience the world.
Yeah,
it's a wide catalog.
Unfortunately, isn't it? So, on behalf of all of us here at Shiver, write you very much.